I'm gonna record to the cloud.
I do
My
what I can do.
phone.
Do my best. It's
And
all I can do.
all you can do is your best, and all the people can do is come into the Zoom, coming into the Zoom on a Thursday. What is going on with my voices? Hello. John Bellimer is in a new space in his home. Same red wall, different. Yeah. John knows I need that red wall in my life. Okay. Hey, everyone. Welcome. 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 Come on in. We got Howard with us. It's great to see you, Howard. Kicking is back. We are doing our thing. We got Geddes. Hi, Geddes. Welcome. Welcome. Hello to Tim. James joins us today. Hi, James. Nice to see you. Guys, everyone, friends all across the land. I am just opening up the gates here for this fine, oh my gosh, December. I cannot believe it. Actually, we have just 2 more sessions, including this one of the year of 2021, and then it's over. And I am like, did 2021 even happen? You know, I'm still in 2020, kind of, not in a good way. I mean, it's kind of, I don't know what's happening. So here we go. Welcome, everybody. It's great to see you. My name is Siobhan. I am your Zoom host today. But lucky for you, it's not just me rambling out here. We happen to have to my official Zoom right. Yes, I got it. Look, it took me a lot shorter period of time to my Zoom right, but that may not be your Zoom right, depending on where I am in the squares. I do have David Goldberg, our Chief Edge Officer here at Edge Studio. David, good afternoon to you.
Yeah, good afternoon, good morning, good day, everybody. Hope you had a fantastic Thanksgiving. It's good to see you all. There are some a couple of cool looking studios I'm looking at when I look at all of the thumbnails. Very
Yes,
fun.
it's a
It is really fun to see people's backgrounds, and especially when they're studios.
You know, we try to find the bright side of what this world has brought us, which is a lot of Zoom squares, but it's true. We get to see people's studios in the gallery mode. For me, if this is your first time, welcome, welcome. The gallery mode is how I like to have this experience, so I can see the beautiful faces of my beautiful voice actor friends. But if you like the speaker mode, and I don't blame you, because then I blow up, David blows up, our special guest blows up, and that's fun. So if that's what you desire, in your top right corner in the view mode, you can see that you can have gallery or speaker, however you want to choose your own adventure. The chat on the left-hand side, if you're using a desktop, good luck if you're on an app, a phone, or an iPad. Those are, I think, a much harder Zoom experience, but we participate in the chat here, and that's how this hour-long session goes. We got people saying, hello, Jerry in Atlanta. Hey, Michael, what is up from Getty? Alexandra, great to see you. Hello to Luke. Brooklyn is where our sweet friend John is. Everybody, hi, hi, hi. So the way this is going to work is the questions are of anything and everything voiceover are going to go in the chat, and I will bring them to David and to Kevin today. And I'm very excited about that because our special guest, first time ever with us, and this is, I need to tell you all this. I was like, I've never had to book someone where I'm not even really confirmed until the morning of, because that person is that in demand, and I'm fine with it. Normally I'd be like, look, if you can't say yes, I'm gonna book someone else, you know. But Kevin's like, hey, if my schedule doesn't get packed with engineering, then I will be there, but I don't know, you know. And so I was like, all right, I'll wait. You know why? Because he's worth it. So that was my exciting thing, was like, I think I've got Kevin today. And then I got the email that he said yes, and it just filled my heart with joy. And it filled my heart with joy, everyone, because Kevin Schormann has been at Edge for X amount of years. He'll tell you, I actually have no idea, because he's been here longer than I have, which is like 5 years. And not only is he a charming and delightful human to be around, but he is also a hell of a talented engineer, and he has recorded thousands upon thousands of voices in the studio, and in the past year and a half, almost exclusively remotely, at least for a large chunk of these 500 days that we've been experiencing. So I hope that you will take advantage of having a voiceover audio engineer in the house today and asking questions. There's so many things we could ask him about his very particular experience and how it might help you in your voiceover journey. Everything from in the booth experience to editing, and his entire journey as our lead engineer at Edge Studio. So maybe some of you know him because you've recorded with him, or maybe you've heard his beautiful voice, and maybe he's produced your demo so beautifully. He has produced 3 of mine beautifully. So I'm gonna get this started by just saying, hello, Kevin, and would you mind, I know a little bit of this story, so I'm excited for y'all to hear it, but Kevin, would you mind telling us a little bit about your journey to becoming an audio engineer and the one we rely on the most at Edge Studio?
Well, you are way too kind. Thank you for all the kind words, nice words, all the beautiful words. How I started. I started in music, probably starting guitar at about 13, growing up in a house where there was Elvis and Creedence Clearwater Revival and the Eagles and the Rolling Stones and things like that. And I was in construction for the majority of my life because that was like my go-to for trying to tour and trying to be in a band, which I was in for 27 years. But later on, probably around when I was about in my 20s, I got into work in the recording studio, and I was fetching bagels and coffee for clients and famous pop stars and things like that. And I eventually pulled out of it for a little while. I think I was just a little bit kind of discouraged, and I went to another route. And then I ended up coming back, opening up my own home studio and recording bands in the area. And I was talking to a friend of mine who's over at Konami, and just finding out how I could get into the voiceover industry, because that kind of grabbed my attention, commercials and video games, which I've been a huge fan of my whole life. And I was like, that's something I could totally kind of, see myself doing. And in 2013, I started working for Edge, and I was editing audiobooks from home, from my home studio. And, things just really, everybody has been so great at Edge that it just kind of was a really good match. I found myself kind of in studio more, kind of filling in and picking up some overflow. And when the main engineer was out, I would fill in for him. And here I am 7.5 years later, still kind of pushing strong. So that's my condensed version of the story. I think I covered everything.
I will throw in that Kevin is an amazing lead engineer. He trains our other engineers. He is lightning speed at editing, but he's also precise when editing, and it is amazing to watch. He's taught me a whole lot about mixing and sound design. I just learned from him, and he and I work on a lot of projects together. I mean, over 7.5 years, we've probably worked on thousands of projects, tens of thousands, quite possibly. And his work continues to improve. And he knows, for at least once a month, I'll say to him, like, dude, like, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but holy crap, like, you're even better than you were last month. Like, how? But his work is just phenomenal. So if you have questions, this is like an opportunity to ask. I'm not looking at the chat, but I saw one temporary notification question come up about decibel levels, what to record at. These are like the perfect questions for Kevin. This is the time. Take advantage of him being here. Take advantage of Siobhan putting this together, and ask some questions. I'm a decent engineer, but nothing like Kevin. These are the questions for Kevin. Take advantage of him today.
Yeah, don't sell yourself short. David has worked with some big names there. He's being very humble right now. I've learned from David. I've learned a lot. The mixing, like I would hear certain things that are pleasing to my ears, and it's not just about my ears. It's about the listener's ears. It's about the client's ears. It's how they're hearing things, because we're all hearing things a little differently. And David was hearing my mixes a certain way, and he was like, could you roll off the mid-range here? Could you maybe tweak this here? Could you de-ess this here? Could you? And once hearing David's feedback, that's when I was like, you know what? I was like, I can totally understand. I could totally hear what he's saying. So it's always good to have multiple people on a mix, because you're getting different ears, different perspectives.
And collaborators you trust as well. And I also just want to share one last anecdote about Kevin starting at Edge, which is part of the story I know, which is that he came from the rock scene, and like thought that he had to cut his hair really short, and like And I'm like, Kevin, you're an engineer. Like, what do you? He's like, I don't know. I thought I'd look really like business professional. And he's like, oh no, there's a lot of like ex-rockers.
It
who
was New
are-
York. I was like, I gotta get a suit. I gotta cut my hair. I really want this job. And then I walk in and people are business casual, and there's people with long hair, and and I was like, whoops, okay. Only another couple of years, it'll be back. So
Yeah, it's an artsy industry. So I'm gonna jump right into the chat and get this going.
I'm
So
sorry, Siobhan. Siobhan,
yes.
I do want to interject. So I've said some great things about Kevin, and they are true, but I also want to not throw Siobhan like off to the side here. She's been with us for 5 years, you said, at this point. And Siobhan is, and I've said this at the end of many Ask Me Anything calls, but Siobhan is fantastic. She is the most incredible social media marketing minded person you can meet. She keeps the energy up. So yeah, I was speaking with someone after Thanksgiving, and they said, hey, it's we should all give thanks and think about what we're thankful for. And one of the things that came up in my head was, man, I'm thankful for my team at Edge. So Kevin and Siobhan are just two of the fantastic people we have in our group. So
thank you.
there you go, Siobhan.
I
Okay.
agree, Siobhan.
Hey.
You have a glow about you that radiates. Even in person, there's this vibe and this glow that just kind of brings good out in people, good vibes.
Does anybody have a cavity yet? Because boy, there's just so sweet. Yeah,
No one has
it's
a cavity.
truly
They're all throwing up saying, come on, enough of this already. Let's get to the question.
Let's get to the good stuff.
let's get to the good stuff. But you should all know at this point, we don't do it's without, our like lovey affection vibes here. It's like how we roll at the Ask Me Anything. People who've never been here are like, what did I walk into? Okay, let's talk about voiceover and y'all, and then I'll compliment my team again a little bit later. So okay, we're gonna jump right into some audio stuff. Kevin, we've talked about these things before, and sometimes we don't like to get too specific because things are different for everybody. But you know what the hell, we've got you in this what the heck, I mean, of course I'm very professional. We've got you, and we were talking about this before about decibel levels. Oh, Michael says, where should my decibel levels be, for crying out loud? I was told 16 decibels by one person and then 3 decibels by another.
Well, there are actually two different kinds of measurements. And nowadays we have meters. You can find some free ones online to measure what's called LUFS, which is level units full scale. And that's basically decibels. But there's two kinds. There's peak. Where's your signal peaking at? Like the highest point. And then there's what's called RMS, which is the average. It takes the average of the audio and it gives you a number. So audiobooks are typically the RMS or LUFS. I know this sounds kind of crazy, all these letters, is about -18 for an audiobook. But the peak is -4 because you're going to have dips and valleys. So you want to set your limiter for an audiobook at, say, for -4 at the limiter, the ceiling. And you want to make sure that your level units full scale or RMS is about -18. Now that's just an audiobook. If we go to broadcast, then you're at -24 for the mix. But if you were recording, if you're just like, I just want to record my voice, I would probably record it between -24 and -28, like have it sit right there. And your peaks will probably be around -8 or something like that.
Kevin, a couple of questions and some clarity I think would be helpful. The numbers you're giving for audiobooks, are those specific to the industry standard, or are you speaking about ACX specifically, or are they one and the same? In other words, does ACX have different standards?
I think that's probably one and the same. Audible, ACX, Random House, audiobooks that's become a standard for audiobooks. Yeah.
Okay. And the other question is, yeah, and by the way, I mentioned that question about ACX because if any of you are recording audiobooks, there's a pretty likely chance that you're on ACX. And as you may know, ACX is very, very clear about what about levels and recording quality. Kevin, the other question I think that would be helpful for everyone, if you can answer, is would the levels be amended in any way given the background noise that someone has in their studio? Whether it's actual noise like hum and buzzes or rumble noise, or even there's some resonance in the background of their room. Should they modify those levels or stick to them?
I would stick to them. Of course, when you do raise your level, if you do have any kind of if you do have a loud noise floor, which would come from using an inexpensive or a cheap interface mic pre, the cheap ones typically have a higher noise floor. If you raise the level, it's going to raise the noise floor with it. So it's important to get something right off the bat that has good quality, like a Focusrite, which are very reasonably priced and they have a lower noise floor. And make sure that the reflections in your room and the resonance is minimal. Yeah.
What about for someone with mouth noise, because dentures or whistles in from their teeth, clicking?
Whistles can be tricky. Whistles can be very tricky. Yeah.
You're the one to answer them though, because there's a chance that some of the folks on this call do tend to pop their P's. They tend to have some sibilance issues, some mouth click issues.
Well, you can, I would definitely recommend getting one of these and putting it on your mic. It's just a pop screen that'll help with the plosives. And I would have see how the mic right here is kind of off to the side. I'm not right on it. It's off to the side. That helps with plosives as well. So your breath is going past the mic. It's not going directly into it.
Cool. Thanks.
Okay. We are rock and roll here. Literally, we have Kevin Schormann in the house. So we are now gonna this question is kind of has layered and is popular in the chat. But so people are asking, Kevin, should you add a stack to fix your voice? Like, do you do that before normalizing, amplifying? These are kind of, I know this also has to do with noise floor and all this kinds of thing, but what do you think about this general question? Is it, yeah, people are jumping in. They want to know about effect stack.
Okay, like a stack, we mean like plugins, like a stack of plugins on your inserts, I'm assuming. I would say right off the bat, an EQ and roll off 100 hertz, because you don't need anything that low with your voice.
What about, do you want to differentiate between a male voice and a woman's voice that tends to be higher?
I would, if you have a higher voice and it's more mid-range, you might be able to give them a little bit more low end, maybe roll off like 75 to 100. That's a good point, David. It depends on the voice. A woman's voice may need some of that low end, but if you have somebody with a very rich, deep voice, then you might find that you might need to cut a little bit more. So it's just finding what's good for your voice. And compression, that's probably a whole class in itself. Compression is a good stack, but you could probably find some really good videos on YouTube. You don't want to over compress, but you want to maybe have a nice compression so it just brings your voice together nicely.
But Kevin, what are your thoughts on compressing before recording or after? Well, I'm sorry, that's silly. I hope that makes sense, right? Do you want to record live into your DAW, or do you want to actually do you want to add compression going into the DAW, or do you think it's better to do after?
I think it's good to do after, just because you have that raw audio and you can't undo it. If you're recording with the compression right straight in, you can't undo it. So if you do a job for a client and they say, there's, the way they're describing it, they may not say there's too much compression, but you can kind of see what they're saying. Oh, there's too much compression. You can't undo it. You'd have to do the whole job over again and change the compression settings. Whereas if you just record raw, you can add later on. You can add and trial and error. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm jumping around. Oh, sorry. Keep going.
Yeah, there's another definition of a stack out there in the audio world. Sometimes stack is used to refer to a template, sort of like a template of all of the processes that might be right for your voice, whether it's EQ, maybe normalization or compression, de-essing, all of the various things, gating. So what are your thoughts on using a template? Again, if that's called a stack, as it is sometimes.
I live off Pro Tools templates. I have so many. It's just easy for me to work that way, depending on what I'm doing. A demo record template, a radio mix template, an audiobook template, and everything, the stack is right there. The settings are exactly where I like them, or at least a good starting point. So
Mhm.
templates are important too. Yeah, I firmly believe in them.
Yeah, they're time saving. And guys, if you record anything and you use any processing, especially if you use processing going into the recorder, make sure you write down what settings you have. So down the road, if you need to do any editing in that particular audio recording, then you have a written, manifest of what it is that you did, so you can match that sound.
And there's no shame for people who are learning this kind of stuff. There's no shame in being really meticulous about the way you write these things down. Kevin has helped me a lot with Pro Tools, and I take those notes in a Google Doc that I can always open up and look at again as I'm like, going through. And this is how I get faster and I improve, is by writing things down so I can lean on that document, which is
Mhm.
firm and helps me feel safe. And I think it's okay for people to do that. I think your sweet name is Jen down here asking, is it best to just find a local sound engineer to set that up for you? If you need someone who's like really knows what they're doing to talk you through your best practices, I think that's great. You could also still do it remotely, and we at Edge Studio can help you with that. Also, we do offer an EQ and compression course that Art Rooter teaches, which I think it's, talks about a lot of these issues here at Edge Studio as well. And so I'm always going to say, when in doubt, or having a mental like panic, hiring someone to talk you through it is not money wasted ever. So I just want to support you
However,
all.
However, if you hire a local person, I think you should hire us, any one of us at Edge. But if you hire a local person, you can't you just can't hire a studio musician or a music engineer. You need to find someone who specializes in voiceover, because the differences between recording music and recording voiceover are massive. It's like the difference of two different types of doctors. Okay. If an ears, nose, and throat doctor, they're not going to do heart surgery. Yeah, they both have the word doctor, and that's about it. Same thing with music and voiceover. They're really different beasts. And Kevin knows that more than just about anyone else. So hire someone to help you who really gets this industry and knows what clients are looking for or listening for today.
That's a good point, David. Yeah. Someone recording music, they might put their talent in a large room, or a larger room than like a smaller vocal booth, which has a little bit of resonance, which is, it's okay if you're singing. It's okay if you're playing guitar or playing drums and you're adding that room to it. But for voiceover, it's important that you have somebody that has the ears that can help you with your room and getting the right EQ setting for your voice. And it's David's right. It is a different doctor or engineer altogether. Yeah, it's a different technique.
It is a whole different animal. Quickly, I'm going to jump to Luke's question. The social media class that I'm teaching that's coming up will not be able to give you personal attention because it's going to be a group class, but you can book a private session with me if you need help looking at your LinkedIn profile or any of your social media profiles. I can one-on-one work with you that way. But in the class I'm going to teach this month, it's going to be a breakdown and give you a bit of strategy and a plan for moving forward on any and all of these platforms. So just to kind of answer that while I'm here. All right. Now, Kevin, you've had this kind of question before, I'm sure. David, we've talked about this in our sessions. It's not, we don't swear by anything. But I'm just going to ask it because it's here and you're here and this is, you specialize. Well, actually, this is very specific. We are talking about DAWs. So I want to ask you, I guess, what DAW, is there a DAW that you like to use best? And is there a free or low cost DAW that you think is a good one as well?
Sure.
Siobhan, can you first explain what DAW is for anyone who may not know?
Absolutely. Thank you. David is always like, hey, the acronyms, Siobhan. You'd be like doing all the acronyms. You don't explain. Yes, it's a digital audio workstation, and it's how you get a lot of your, it's how you get any of your voiceover done. So, Kevin, which programs are you into these days?
I know that Pro Tools is like the industry standard, but if you're sticking strictly to voice and you're recording your voice and you're sending it out for auditions, I don't think Pro Tools necessarily needs to be the way to go for you. It's a little more expensive and there's a lot of bells and whistles in there, and there's quite a learning curve in Pro Tools. It's great if you want to become, you know, a voice talent / engineer and do mixes and do your own editing. But if you are like, I want to be a voice talent, I want to do like 25, 50 auditions a day and get them out the door, you might want to look towards something like Adobe Audition. There's Audacity. I hear good things about a software called Twisted Wave.
Mhm.
But I don't want to discourage you from getting Pro Tools. I just feel like even myself before Pro Tools, I think I was using like a free software from a company called M Audio, where I bought these little speakers and I got this free software and I was playing around with it and I was like, wow, this is great. And then I used that and then I went to the next step and I was like, I'm going all in. I'm doing Pro Tools now. But it's good to start with something free if you've never had any experience with it.
Yeah, and to clarify, so when Kevin's absolutely right saying that Pro Tools is industry standard, but to clarify that, it's more industry standard for commercial studios, not necessarily a private home studio.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Many DAWs. Okay, keeping this going, Kevin, in your opinion, how edited should an audition be? Like,
You know,
you know what I'm, yeah.
I think sometimes people spend a little bit too much time on the editing for an audition. You're all familiar with Johnny Heller, you know, he's a famous audiobook talent. I've seen him do auditions, and of course he has a lot of experience, but he goes in the booth, he does 3 in a row and he's done. And he doesn't clean it up. He keeps the breaths in there. He keeps it very natural. Like, this is how I sound. I feel like if you go too far cleaning it up and adding all this compression and doing all this processing, maybe you're not giving the most accurate representation of your voice. Plus, I mean, auditions, you really want to get them out fast too. Some of you have an agent or you may have one and they're going to be like, I need this audition in like 1 hour. Can you lay this down for me? So I wouldn't even clean up the breaths. You know, I would just get a good level on it, get some good performances, listen back, pick the one that you feel is best and send it out, in my opinion. David, what are your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I feel a little differently. I think that what you're saying, Kevin, is great in some applications. I think there are other applications when it does make sense to clean up breaths.
Mhm.
It depends on who your competition is. So if you're going up against 10 other voice actors or 50 other voice actors through a very high-end exclusive agent, where more than likely the other talent are compressing and editing their voice and cleaning everything up, if yours is not cleaned up, it may not sound as good to the end to the casting team, to the end listener, right?
Mhm.
Because some end listeners have no concept of what editing can do. So I've worked with clients over the years who will listen to raw audio and say, that sounds really cruddy. And I'll say, yeah, but it's not processed. And they say, well, what does processing do? And I'll say, well, let me process it for you. And then you'll hear it. And then they hear it processed a minute later and they say, oh, yeah, it sounds great. But in their experience, they don't know what can happen. So if they hear some audio that is not processed or cleaned up or edited or the breaths are left, then they might turn away on that person.
Yeah.
So I think really it comes down to understanding who your competition is and who is listening to your audition, who's the end listener.
Yeah. Maybe finding that balance, you know, finding a way to do it quickly and have some processing in there where it's, you know,
Thus using a stack.
yeah.
I appreciate that sentiment too. I think with Johnny as an example, and Johnny's a really great example because he's also helped me in talking about editing and things like that because he loves, and Kevin knows this because Kevin's worked with Johnny quite a bit. He loves to talk about how what a terrible engineer he is. That he's
Hmm.
like, I hate it, I'm not good at it, but he can do it and he can do it well. And he actually knows that he can do it well. He
Mhm.
may not be like, he doesn't want to be hired to do it because that's not his actual talent, right? But he's confident in what he's figured out thus far. I mean, he's also been doing this for years and years and years, so we can remember that. If you're like comparing yourself to Johnny Heller, like just chill out and don't, because he's been doing it for a really long time, which he would also, stand here and say too. I'm not talking about his age, just his, experience,
Mhm.
youthful man, that Johnny Heller. So so I think what Kevin is saying too, it's kind of like once you learn your thing and you do that, then you're not going to obsess about editing. And that's going to allow you to do more auditions. Just, and like that's a process too, is figuring out your own rhythm. But we want you to do lots of auditions and not get wrapped up in how great your edit is for those auditions. So very good points here and conversations and good questions. And now Cleon, you sweet being, hello, darling. Great to see you. He's asking, Kevin, when it comes to the mixing, what's a key element that you look for? I guess in listening to someone's recording.
When it comes to listening to like a voiceover or like an overall mix, how would we?
Mm,
I
okay.
mean,
The first one, just the voiceover, yeah, Cleon?
I,
Yeah.
I would make sure that it's pleasing to the ear.
What does that mean?
Um, so many rooms and studios sound different. You might get one that just has more of a low mid kind of bump to it. And you have a good set of headphones, and once you get comfortable using your ears and knowing, trusting your ears is kind of what it comes down to. Trusting your ears. If you're listening to a piece of audio and there's something about it, you're just like, "Ah, there's something about the sound of this that I'm just not." You need to go in and just tweak with the EQ and find out where it is, where it sits in that frequency, and EQ the one that's kind of bugging you, and just work on removing it or decreasing it in some way. So making it sound pleasing to the ear is important.
David, any thoughts on that? Or
Yeah, I mean, it depends on who you want the listener to be. But yeah, in general, as Kevin said, I mean, make it pleasing to the ear. Make sure it sounds professional, industry standard, so that's
Yeah,
all
don't be
key.
afraid to compare, right? Like do some comparisons to what commercials are, what people are listening to, because things kind of tend to gravitate towards that way, right? And it's good to just kind of like go on YouTube and see some recent commercials and see what they sound like, right?
here's a question I really love. And I'm wondering if also we can break this down a little bit for folks in general. And I don't know, should I record, first of all, what is mono and what is stereo? Let's start there, get real basic. And Kevin, should I record mono or stereo and why? Two-parter.
Okay. So we're talking about voice, right? Voiceover,
Uh-huh.
that's always
I'm talking
mono,
about voiceover.
always mono.
What does this mean? What does all that mean?
It's one track. It's one.
What does
Stereo is
stereo
two.
mean?
Sorry?
Well, yeah, mono meaning that the audio that plays in your left ear and your right ear are summed together. So in other words, the audio in your left ear and your right ear are identical, which is not how we hear in real life, right? We hear in
Mm,
stereo, we hear with different ears and we hear sound bouncing around to our ears differently. So when you hear, if you close your eyes and you hear a sound in your room, you can sort of point to where that person is based upon two ears. You have two different reference points. With a mono track, everything that would be played in your left ear and your right ear are summed together. So the left ear and right ear hear an identical soundtrack.
Yeah, there it is. That's the best answer
okay.
right there.
See, that's like reminding myself to explain the acronym. Oh my gosh, dog with James. We love to see that dog. Okay, yes. So thank you. That's very helpful. always mono for voiceover?
Mhm.
Look at that easy question. That question had a direct answer.
Yeah, because voice is
Voiceover.
always in the center. It's always in
Mm.
the center. It's unless you're doing some mixes that call for it in certain parts of a song. But if you're listening to a song, voice is in the middle, bass is in the middle, snare drums in the middle, kick drums in the middle, left and right guitars, left and right cymbals and drums because they go from left to right or right to left, however you want to mix it. So, and that creates a stereo image that puts everything. So when you're listening to something and you have your speakers, everything has its place right in front of you, and it creates this kind of like nice room kind of feel, like it's kind of surrounding you. That's a good mix when it feels like it's around you instead of just right in the middle.
And voiceover being mono is also important because sometimes people listen with one ear. People may walk around with one AirPod in a ear, or you see people walking down the street with an earphone in one ear and the other is hanging down their body, so they can still hear their surroundings. And in that case, if the voiceover was only in one channel and it happened to be in the channel that is not in their ear, then they wouldn't hear the voiceover. So again, it's there are a number of reasons why a voiceover is mono.
Mm.
Also,
Excellent.
a
Okay.
much small. It's half the file size too, right, Kevin?
Oh yeah. Yep. Half the file size. And
So that's a real nice thing.
I'll
We
just,
love
as
a
soon as I get
smaller
a
file
stereo
size.
file, I just cut it in half. Just give me one. Just give me the left track and I erase the right. So
Oh, also that's helpful to know.
Yeah.
I like this question too from Tim. So Tim's talking about, hey Tim, yep, I'm talking to you. He's got an AT mic and a PreSonus interface. He says, I feel like I can't get enough signal to overcome the noise in the chain. Is it the interface or the mic, or is it something else? How do I know? Something like that.
So you're getting noise, huh? I mean, you have a PreSonus, they make pretty good products. I think somebody just bought PreSonus, like Fender or a big company just bought PreSonus or Gibson. And you have an AT, what kind of microphone? Because it
Yeah, I'll unmute you, Tim.
Audio Technica.
Probably a 2020.
Yeah, it's an Audio Technica 2025.
Is that a USB?
Yeah, no,
It's
the
okay.
PreSonus interface is a USB, but the mic itself is
What kind of
standalone.
noise are you talking about? Is it
It's just a high
hiss?
level hiss. It's a high frequency, that airy sort of.
Oh, well, okay, Tim, are you recording where, like, we can see the microphone in your background? Is that where you are recording?
Yeah, but even when I there's also another closet over here to my right, my left, and your right. But even when I record in there and leave the laptop out here, there's still an awful lot of that high frequency stuff. I know that I do pick up if I'm recording in here with that. Second, two things. First of all, the room is not. No, I don't record in here for that. But I do know that that it will pick up the laptop fans, and I have a lot of trouble with that, which is why I leave the laptop out here, step into the closet with the mic in here, and I still get some of that high end airiness that's a little bit difficult to get out without going with some down compression or something like that. But then you start hearing that breathe a little bit because of the delays and stuff. So
When you are saying airiness, are you talking about a high frequency? Like it could
Yes.
be air from coming through a ventilation system or something like that?
It's
Or
in
do you mean
it's
resonance?
definitely in the system, because even when I like move the faders on I use a Studio One, which actually came with the PreSonus interface. And even when I move those faders just within the DAW, if I pull that up a little bit, I get a little bit extra noise. It has been an ongoing problem. I found that channel 2 on that PreSonus interface is just a little USB, not that big. But I found that working with channel 2 works better. And I had read somewhere where channel 1 actually sits over some of the internal components and has a tendency to pick up some interference there. So I switched over to channel 2 and put 2 on that, and that has helped a lot. But there's still just enough noise in there that it's difficult for me to kind of get that out without moving it over to Audacity, which actually lets me, sample some of that noise and actually remove it.
Is it, are you going in too hot? Is your mic level too hot going in?
Well, that's the thing. If I don't bring it up to that particular level, then I don't get any signal at all.
What kind of mic are you using? Are the AT? Now, is that a condenser mic?
It's a condenser, yes.
Because
You said the
that problem,
2025?
yeah, that happens with dynamic microphones because they don't have enough power. So you need to really crank them up and then you're bringing up this noise floor with it. So
Yeah.
condenser mics are a higher output. Do you have any electronics near the interface? Like maybe it's causing an RFI?
Just the laptop. Well, there are two. I have my GFE here as well. I'm at work. Can you tell?
I'm wondering if there's something in your room that's causing this noise.
I was just wondering that, like you could record and one by one go around your room and shut off things. And so put your mic in record mode, walk around your room and say, okay, now I'm shutting off the overhead lights. Turn it off for 2 seconds, turn it back on, and then go and shut off one computer. Do that for 2 seconds, and I mean even go down to your like your HVAC systems and just one by one see if you can eliminate something that maybe gets rid of the noise. If
Right.
it's not, then it is maybe a fault of your electronics. I don't know the 2025 mic. Kevin knows more mics than I do.
It's kind of cheap. It's about $150, something like that. So it's nothing.
Yeah,
It
well, there's
could be the mic.
yeah, there's some good mics for 150 and there's some bad mics for 150. It's a popular
what's-
selling price.
What's the
The-
interface model?
It's
Let's-
the
Gotta wrap this one up.
Oh, we should move on.
Yeah, we gotta move on.
had it
We're
forever.
getting Siobhan's move on.
Okay.
I'm moving you along, Tim.
Yeah,
But,
but that's it. Yeah, it's just a little bit of USB guy.
Thanks, Tim.
Yep. Thank you.
So I like this. Tim, you're the best. I'm a big fan of Tim over here. But so I muted him because I was hoping that maybe, and hopefully that was useful for everybody to sort of think about these kinds of things. And David, actually your suggestion, while tedious as it might seem, might actually be something that's actually totally worthwhile, because boy, the things that make these kinds of sounds are hard to, you start to kind of feel a little crazy. I
Yeah,
know I do.
but Kevin brought up another point, and you can all do this also. If you're doing this test system where you eliminate things one by one, make sure you call them out into your recorder so you remember what was removed at any given point, but also move around some wires, because sometimes you will get wires that are crossing each other and causing a grounding issue and RFI, Kevin said. And so you can say, look, now I'm moving the computer wire that actually was pretty close to the table lamp, for example, and that might do it, or a charger wire. So yeah,
Mhm.
just you go through the process of elimination before setting back equipment for checking or anything like that, or buying new equipment.
Yeah, and if you have no clue what it is, just, remember how everything's connected, take pictures and write everything out. Just disconnect everything, reconnect everything. And if it's still there, maybe try investing in some new cables. That could help too.
Even listen, you should listen to the output of the personas on headphones and see if there's anything in there.
I want to jump in with a comment from Donald, who said, "Hey Kevin, just got my
Hey,
demo
Don.
from you, Art and Kendra. Unreal, just
Oh.
fantastic. I'm blown
Hey.
away. Thanks so much, and it was a real pleasure to be among you guys. The experience and knowledge I gained in a short time is invaluable. I hope you're doing well."
That guy
So,
was great. We did the in studio with Don. That was a fun. Who was the coach again? Was that Art Bruder?
Sounds like it was Art Bruder.
Yeah, I remember that session. That was a good time. He's really good. Yeah, great voice,
Super
Don.
good. Okay, so Don had also asked, I've got two questions that are also, we're just in the weeds here of our audio experience with Kevin. Kevin, I mean, again, this is subjective, maybe, and I know David has said there's good ones, there's bad ones, there's good ones for the same price and bad ones for the same price. But Kevin, what's your general feelings on USB mics versus separate interface and mics?
I think that USB mics have come a long ways. I don't recommend like the Yeti and things like that. Some of the earlier USB mics, they did introduce a noise floor, but they've gotten a lot better. I've noticed I've used and checked out some USB mics. I think Audio Technica makes a good one where they've really come a long way. I feel like a USB mic is great for like that utility knife. You know, you have it in your back pocket, you bring it with you if you want to travel and you might have to do some auditions and you can't take like your interface and all that stuff with you. I think they're great as like, they're good to have for a backup in case you're having issues with your, your nice condenser mic or your interface. But yeah, I think they've come a long way. I would still personally, I prefer using a good condenser mic, using an XLR input and an interface. You have a little bit more control and flexibility, and it's going to be cleaner sounding. But I will say that USB mics have come a long way.
And some of the USB microphones that have just come out in the past few months have a suite of processing built into the mic.
Really?
Into the application, yeah. It's really interesting. So the controls you might have on a typical interface are introduced into the microphone. It's great.
Wow.
Super convenient. You get all the controls.
Mhm.
I like the synonym of or the analogy rather of the utility knife, Kevin. That's great.
Yeah. I remember I went on vacation a couple of years back, and a friend of mine, he's a voiceover talent and actor and hip hop artist, and he brought his setup with him. I was like, wow, you're on vacation. He's like, dude, I never stop working. It could just be an audition here and there, but in and out, boom, you're done, and then enjoy the rest of your vacation. And you kind of take it with you where you go.
Oh, sorry, I was muted. Okay, so from Amber, we're still in it. Kevin, can you talk about preamps with
Hi,
a
Amber.
large with a large diaphragm condenser mic? I get mixed comments from Sweetwater, and my Royer does not work with my large diaphragm condenser.
Your Royer mic pre? Is that what that is? Or is that a Royer mic? Microphone.
Oh, here, I'll unmute you, Amber. Come to the stage.
Hey.
Hi.
Hi. It's the preamp.
So you're having problems with your condenser microphone and your Royer preamp?
Yeah, I mean, they just don't work together. And so I didn't think you needed one, but I do get some problems too, just not feeling like I get enough boost just using my Scarlett. But I mean, the combo doesn't work. Half the people I talk to at Sweetwater says, yeah, it should be fine. And the other people are like, no, you're not supposed to use a preamp with the condenser mic.
No, I mean, I would say a preamp is necessary.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. I mean, now there's a large condenser and a small condenser microphone. Used for different things. Typically in voiceover, we use a large condenser.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm
but-
using the Shure KSM 32.
The Shure KSM32. Let me type that in. I'm not sure if that's the mic you're using, right?
Yeah.
Everyone, I'm unmuting because these things are so complicated to have you all have to chat back and forth about
Okay.
that I'm like, I'm not facilitating that. That's great.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Right, Tim? Yeah, you just say it's crazy. So I'm like, Amber, let me just
Kevin did my demo too. It was amazing.
Oh, you did? I did. I recognized. Okay. Now I can see your last name. Sorry, my eyes are getting bad. I can't see the
That's
last
okay.
name so well. How are you, Amber? I'm glad you like your
Good.
demo.
Yeah, it's awesome.
You shouldn't have a problem with using a condenser microphone with going into the preamp on an interface, a mic pre. As long as your 48-volt phantom power is turned on, it should work just fine. Yeah.
Okay. I'll have to do some more digging and investigating, and maybe I got a bad booster.
Yeah. David, do you think is there anything that comes to mind what it could be?
No, but just swap out mics, try something like that, and see if a different microphone works.
Mhm.
Like what you're saying, Amber, should work. I
Okay.
don't see why it wouldn't. So just change the mic and see if it works, and if not, then you might be able to figure out what the culprit is.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Of course.
Welcome.
Amber, great to see you in your beautiful studio.
Thank you.
Really.
It's good to see. Good to
Yeah.
be here. It's been a while.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. You know, we just have shenanigans here, getting in the weeds. Is everybody doing okay? Hanging in? So
Yeah,
I like this question.
make sure everyone you stay on because Siobhan has a very special offer at the end of this call.
I do. That's for the party people who hang in for the next 10 minutes. So okay, I really like this question about absorption panels and from Craig. So Kevin, what are your thoughts on homemade sound absorption panels? And how do you determine like size and placement of them for something like a walk-in closet? I mean, have you ever made them yourself, or what do you think, Kevin?
I have. I have made them myself. I've bought what's called a dense insulation, where they pretty much take that puffy insulation and they squeeze it down real tight so it's densely, a thick, like 2 or 3, 4 inch thick sometimes, and you can cover it in some nice cloth. I would say if you're going to hang up some acoustic treatment, make sure don't skimp on it, and make sure it's thicker so it absorbs it really well. And I mean, cover as many hard surfaces as possible, even the ceiling.
Yeah, I will add on to that. So thickness should be minimum 1 inch. Preferably you go with 2 inches. If your voice is loud or boomy, definitely 2 inches. And then I find this question sort of funny when someone says, when they talk about placement of acoustic panels, because placement, you don't really need to worry about it. It should be everywhere. Like you don't have, ideally, you don't think, well, should this acoustic panel be this high? Or maybe an inch higher on the wall. Well, maybe move it center of the wall, maybe right behind my microphone. That should never come into the equation. You should put the acoustic paneling or acoustic products you have everywhere. Like Kevin said, on your ceiling, your walls, have carpeting on your floor. You want to cover every surface imaginable. And if you have a music stand, then put a piece of the foam or at least a towel, a folded up thick towel on top of your music stand so your voice doesn't bounce off of that. Your job as a voice actor, if you want industry standard broadcast sound, is to make sure that there's no echo at all. So load up with foam, whether you make it or not, it doesn't make a difference. No one will ever see your home studio, right? So if the foam, if you make your own panels and they look egregious, they're just horrendous looking, who cares? You're not on camera.
Yeah, reflections are the most difficult. I can work with a noise floor that's a little higher than usual and use a software to remove it, but they still haven't really perfected the ability to remove reflections very well. So that's the trickiest part, getting your room to sound nice and dead.
Which is why,
Kevin,
Kim, when you asked that question about the noise in your microphone and you're talking, I heard the echo in your room. I thought, that's where you're recording? It was a little thrown off there. So I'm just happy to hear that you have a closet that you move into.
No, I want
Things at work.
to actually,
Yeah.
I want to touch on this before we get out of here because people are really having a million questions about the noise floor. And I'm sorry I'm not getting to everybody today, but I love that it's nice to have a session where we can't get to everything because that means y'all are active and thinking about things. And I love to see a Zoom room that's moving like that. So can a noise floor get too low, Kevin? How low can we go? Sometimes my noise floor can go to -70.
That's
is
great.
it too dead? It's
Nope.
great. Ooh.
It's perfect.
Okay.
We'll go
Why is
real
that?
quick. We'll bang out a whole bunch of questions.
I know. Actually, next time we have Kevin, we should just do yes or no and roulette and see like how fast we can go with like one word.
I'm going to pass some of these to
responses.
David too.
I actually had a question that I wanted to bring to you, Kevin, but so people are asking oh gosh, now I'm all like all over the place, but there's really a ton of a mic with a DSP chip. That's a question. Here we go. I love my Coles 4038. It is flattering, but is it too different from condensers to be a wise option?
Is that a dynamic mic?
Looking at Howard. Go ahead, Howard.
Oh, he's muted. Howard's muted.
He's trying to
Can't hear
unmute. Oh, you can type baby love if you can't find her.
He's muted.
I'm
still.
so sorry
Yeah,
about
there-
that. I couldn't get. I've got the mouse upside down. You see, we are very keyed up here. Yes, it's a classic BBC ribbon mic 4038, still made by Coles, still used but for overhead for drums. Yeah. On
Mm.
speech, it's sweet and it's warm and it's smoochy, but it's a little bit difficult to keep the noise down because of low
Yeah.
output. And
Ribbon
I
mics are
wonder
loud.
whether producers will say, "Well, that's a funny sound."
What do you think, David?
Like ribbon mics have a beautiful sound. They're so common for overhead. Also horns. They are phenomenal on horns. And I've had some beautiful ribbon mics over the years, but not for voiceover.
Very good.
Because I think a lot of that warmth will be gone. Unfortunately, a lot of the warmth will be lost by the time the audio is dithered down into a digital file and downgraded to an MP3 and then shot to someone's ears through a little tiny speaker in their ear. I mean, some of the sound quality will be lost. That warmth will be lost, and they are loud. The best ribbon mics in a really pristine recording room will certainly be quiet enough. The noise floor will be quiet enough to use them. But if you're not in a pristine audio environment when you record, if it's not a pristine ribbon microphone, it's probably not going to work. And they're hard to get tuned up these days too. Not too many people will work on the old ribbon microphones. There are a couple in New York City who I know, but yeah, I don't know. But hold on to
A
it.
bit
They're great.
safer with this thing, really, 4040, because that's quite a sweet sounding mic. Actually, I chucked out the Rode because
Those are
that
great.
wasn't very sweet.
Yeah,
Good
they are
mic,
great.
yeah.
Yeah, go
thank
for
you.
the 4040. What
Uh-huh.
else we got, Siobhan?
80, yeah. Condenser,
okay.
of
Well,
course.
yes, and Howard is actually in the UK. For people who are like, is this real?
Oh,
Like
yes.
that is real. Okay, awesome. Thank you, Howard. I actually, with the last 3 minutes, and if I wanted to ask Kevin, because he was recorded thousands and thousands of voices, and I wanted to say, Kevin, when people come into the booth, what is the most common problem that you have to fix with people when they're recording, or when you need to do a second take? What's the most common issue that you find when people do their first, their first bit of their demo? Or
Stay on the mic. I find that a lot of people that get caught up in the script and they kind of start moving around and then they're off axis on the mic and then the voice is all of a sudden it's over here. And if you're going for that, then go for that and stay there. But it's always good to find your spot, your sweet spot, and just stay right there.
Mark the floor, guys. Bring your own tape if you have to.
Mhm.
That is definitely a very
Oh.
common issue.
And drink enough water the night before, because some people say, I got a demo to record today. I'm going to load up on water. Well, you need to hydrate the night before, and that's going to help with mouth clicks. So
I could give you
Ooh,
top
that's
10. I won't now. We don't have time, but a top 10 things that voice actors do that get them booted out of sessions with clients, whether remote or live. Maybe Siobhan, we should talk about
David, that would be
how to present
fun.
that. Yeah,
That would be fun for our end of year sesh, or our next one with you, me and you.
yeah.
Okay,
Absolutely.
awesome, y'all. I want to tell you about all the things. First of all, we do have on the 14th of December the social media for voice actors class. I am teaching that thing, so come hang out with me for 90 minutes. I will be Zooming with you. It is very good times. I know there's some folks in here who have taken this class before, and it is awesome. If you want to join Tom Deere, he's also doing a VO resolutions class this month that is going to be super duper fun times and helping you to think about said things. I also I'm going to post this LinkedIn link that I have from our community member here from Dina, who she does a voiceover study hall, and I have attended a few of the sessions, and it's going to be it's a free community thing that she does. And we're going to be like talking about our resolutions and thinking about planning for the next year. And she had asked if, we could tell people about it, and just knowing Dina and connecting with each other, y'all, is really one of the hopes and dreams I have for our Ask Me Anything sessions. Additionally, to that, our Black Friday sale, we are extending. I was notified by my boss, Sarah, earlier today, like, tell everybody we're still on. So what that means is that you can get stuff. So come and get some stuff. You can get a one demo program. There's your link for that, with which is, we're doing that for $300 off. For our 2 demo program, we are offering $500 off to get 2 demos. And then if you want to do 3 demos, you can then get $700 off at this link right here. And you can also, as I have done, you can request that Kevin be the one to produce your demo. I'm going to tell you all, I'm not telling anybody else, but the people that ask me anything, you can be like, can Kevin do the, and it's a very nice thing. Don't tell Andrew I said that, David. Okay, and then classes, classes are happening. We have a class schedule. If you use the code, I think it's potato, you can get actually, you know what, let me double check on that for you. The class schedule, it's potato. So if you type that in when you buy any upcoming class, then you get 50% off of it. That includes social media with your girl. So if you want to join me at a discount, then it's hard to get me at a discount these days, y'all. So get in on that. Additionally, private coaching 3-pack is happening. And oh wait, that link doesn't work. Oh my gosh. Okay. I have a broken link. Woof. All right. There's a coaching 3-pack. Get in touch
Our
with us,
office.
or like, yeah, or pop her. That is she sent me a thing that was like, it's like as if you had bought it, but okay. So all right. But you can get a serious deal on our private coaching 3-pack as well, which is $130 off of what is normally it's usually $525, and we're offering it for $395, so that's $130 off. And you can do a private coaching 3-pack that way, and then you can do whatever kind of private coaching you want. It can be towards a demo, or it can be a little bit of marketing, a little bit of time with the coach on audition technique, a little bit of home studio. You can do some online branding content, things like that with me. So I recommend taking advantage of these sales. And that is a great question. How long will it last? Okay, let me just double check here. We're
It is
extending
going-
through.
oh,
Yes.
you know.
I got it. Sunday, December 5th at 11:59 p.m. Eastern. And by that, we mean midnight. I just want to say midnight because it's like the same. But so the December 5th at midnight is when all of this ends. Contact any of us if you have any questions. And by that, I mean training@edgestudio.com. If you're like, hey, I'm confused, we will talk to you. We'll give you a call. Did I spell the word training right? Nope, I didn't. Let me try that again. I'm so excited. And I am also going over here. So I'm
Really
sorry for going
fast.
over time.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. And it's important to note that if you have a demo produced by Kevin, okay, you'll have a different coach, but Kevin then will work with the coach and with you. So you'll have an amazing set of ears at your disposal when you actually record. And Kevin will also pre-check the audio quality of your home studio if you prefer to record from your home studio. So it doesn't make a difference where you are located, or you can come in and work live with Kevin at our New York City studio where he works out of.
So I think that's like really wonderful to know that, we've got these beautiful people at your disposal to take advantage of. And like I said, money spent on people who we know are worth it are indeed worth it indeed. And speaking of worth it, I know we were giving all the compliments at the beginning of our session today, but I am very #blessed to know and to work with Kevin, as he is a heck of a talented man, and he also is a friend. It is as much of a pleasure to be beside him when he's recording, or at the mic when he's recording, or talking about everything we're doing as a team, as it is to be at the coffee machine in the morning, or on rare occasions where we've gotten to have a beer afterwards. Kevin is a genuine, he's a real one, as we like to say. So Kevin, thank you for being with us today. It's been a real pleasure to have you.
Thank you, David. Thank you, Siobhan. Yeah, I miss having all our talks in the office, with you, Siobhan, and David, talking about music and Deep Purple and John Mayer and all that good stuff. And yeah, hopefully, we'll be able to get back up into the office full time at some point in the future, so we can start, I mean,
Yeah.
I like the remote thing, but there's nothing like being in the office and working and interacting with people.
Yep. True. Listen, I want to really, Kevin and Siobhan, you guys rock. Everyone else on the call, you also rock for being here. Wish you great holidays. Happy Hanukkah if you are celebrating. Happy Hanukkah if you're not celebrating. Happy either way. Siobhan, thank you so much for leading this call. You guys had some terrific questions. Howard, I love the question about ribbon mics, because so few people even know about ribbon mics. So hats off to you, man. That's awesome. Kevin, your information is so good. I learned stuff today, which is terrific. I learn from you guys all the time. And everyone, thank you so much for joining Ask Me Anything.
Thank
We'll be
you all
back
for
in 2 weeks,
being
right,
here.
Siobhan? Yeah.
Yes, we'll see you in 2 weeks when it is just me and David, and we'll do top tens, and we'll have a lot of good holiday festive vibes for you. So that will be on the 16th, and then we'll be off until the new year, because then we just get all up in New Year stuff. So we'll see you on the 16th with me and David. David, thank you so much for always being so fantastic to work with on these calls. Kevin, you're an absolute delight and a real gem of a human. Hey, everybody, all 54 of you left, you're really, really wonderful. Happy Hanukkah, happy upcoming holidays. Hope you're baking some kind of delicious thing of whatever ilk it is, because you deserve it, in addition to hydrating as well. You know, just balance. Okay, bye everybody.
This
Yes,
was great.
Donald.
Thanks for having me, everybody.
This will be up on YouTube later today. Bye everyone.